Hello everyone, welcome to the Quantum Alignment Show. My name is Alana Heim and today I am your guest host. It's been a while since I've hosted a show, so I'm excited to be here. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now so that you have the slides here. So today we are diving into really understanding the power of the sun. And so I want you to take a moment to recognize that there's a deep connection of who you are and the source love light that runs through. So today's show is all about igniting that self-love that comes through source. I call it the love light, and we're powering it through the sun. We're going to dive into all kinds of really cool stuff. So let's get going. If you have your chart, fantastic, because I love to look at where we are today, where we're headed, how things are playing out for you in your chart, and it can be different for every one of us. You probably know who I am. I got to speak last weekend at the conference. If you were there, it's so great to be able to connect with you. I love that Karen came up with this new term for me, Cosmic Prosperity Activator. And I really see that because I've been a CPA for almost 20 years now, and I just don't resonate with a lot of where we've been. And I need to start really moving towards helping people ignite their source love light and powering up from the sun, powering up the energy of who they are, because things are changing at a really rapid pace. These are my little people, Hazel and Hunter, my daughter Taylor, she's my mini-me, my husband Mike. The three of us back here, we're projectors, and then we have generator twins. So it's a lot of fun to be able to dance in our different profiles, our different type and strategy, our different authorities, because the three kids and I are all emotional. My husband's a self-projector, no motors. So knowing who you are and being able to move forth in this new world where we're headed, there's a lot of change here. And when you know who you are, you get to really just explore it, play with it, have fun with it, and express it. And that's a big piece of what we're going to talk about today with the sun. Now, I'm going to be going through lots of different pieces to educate you. You'll be able to take screenshots, come back to the replay, find any information that's helpful as we dive into where the sun is today. And I'll also be sprinkling in invitations, little offerings, because I'm not somebody who does just one thing. I do many things. And I'm sure you do too. And I know you're brilliant and able to process and figure out what feels best for you, what resonates. So I have participated in 2 collaborative books. This is Karen's book, Abundance by Design. It's a great book. I wrote the chapter Money. I also wrote the chapter Take Control of Your Financial Well-Being and What's Money Got to Do with It. Now, we've got a new collaborative book, and there's quite a few in our community that are authors in this book as well. It's coming out roughly the 14th or the 15th. So my invitation to you is, if you want to jump in and support the launch, participate, that would be amazing. There's a link here, and I have links I can share in the chat too. You don't have to, but if you're interested in participating, you want an advanced copy, you want to leave a review, then I would love your feedback to know, is this book helpful? Is it something that the human design community needs at this point? And what are your thoughts? How did it affect you? And the brilliance from each of these authors and the chapters is amazing. So I highly recommend it. And for now, let's get started. So I want to share aspects of the sun because it's a really big part of the chart. And so if you're looking at your chart, you know it's that very top line. It's consciously and unconsciously what you are here to share as your life's work. The energy that you radiate, right? So there's an energy you can already probably feel from me as I'm presenting. There's an energy from you. And it's naturally just wanting to come out in a bold way. Conditioning sometimes has us taper that and tone it down and maybe not have the confidence to actually let our gifts shine into the world. So I want to gently remind you that you are deeply courageous and prosperous, and there is so much beauty that already radiates from who you are, the gifts that are waiting, there's a timing. We're not always ready to just let things out. So for example, at conference, and I'm so bummed because if you were virtual or watching the replay, you really didn't get the effect of the sound healing. The Zoom sound wasn't really there, and it kind of, it was lost. I'm exploring my own creativity and my own ways of expressing and putting my energy out in the world. And I know that I was not ready a year ago because I didn't even really know what was coming forth, this sound channeling. So there are gifts that are still locked away inside of you, and every day on your path, on your journey, you are finding ways to unlock that box. And it takes courage to be able to express who you are and to share it, because fear gets in the way. We think that people are going to ridicule us, they're going to shame us, they're going to reject us. And there's a lot of love that we need to hold for ourselves to stand in that gift, in that resonance of, this isn't necessarily for me, it's for me to share and put out into the world. So allowing yourself that space to trust that you are deeply supported, and the sun is here to help you with this. Now, the sun really is this masculine energy, and we can look at it more on the spiritual, energetic level of the chart, and knowing that it's here to support us, it does our life's work. But on the physical level, so going into the 3D, knowing that we are humans on this planet, we need the sun for us to sustain ourselves. So it's allowing us to share our brilliance and express it, but it's also on the physical level, it's feeding us. It's nourishing us. It is giving us the light rays that actually support who we are. And more we're shifting. We're shifting in our diet, in how we receive our nourishment. And ultimately, we're receiving the light. More and more people are needing the light. And that's what we're here to spread. That's what we're here to ignite in each other. That the light that I radiate can allow you to begin to see what's possible for yourself, to radiate that kind of energy. And we start to have the darkness that's kind of been shrouding the planet, it's lessening, it's dimming. And we're at a very exciting place where it's shifting so fast. And you probably can sense that, the time, the energy, but just recognize, how often are you with the sun? Are you spending time in the sun? Or have we let external factors create that fear where we don't think that we can be in the sun? And depending on our pigment in our skin, some can stay in the sun longer. I highly recommend go out and at least get just a little bit each day, because it's helping you on a cellular level. It is helping you to ignite your own light. And this is something that we forget, that it's energizing, it's strengthening, it's expanding in the way of allowing us to have the confidence to be who we are, to express, to really share our true connection, not just with Mother Earth, but with the sun, with the cosmic, with this bigger level of God, source, spirit, how you reflect and see it. The sun is always reflecting down, and it's bringing us warmth and heat and light and love. And there's lots of energies that are really important for us to just remember. That's already who we are. We came from the stars. We are the light. And I want you to remember that you are source, love, light. And if you forget, come back and re-listen, or find ways to spark the joy in yourself, to remember the gifts that you bring, so that you can stand in being authentic, genuine, heartfelt, and heart-giving, and allowing yourself to share all of this brilliance. Because it's not just for you, it's for us, right? And if I hold back my gifts, then I'm not sharing them with you, and you need them. And this is how we all fit together and work together and connect together. And I'm realizing I don't have the chat up, so I'm just gonna move that here in case there's anything. But I have the lovely Cindy with me who will help and let me know if you guys have any comments or questions or whatnot. I'm happy to answer them. So where we are today, and it's almost 11:11, so I was close. I just wanted this mainly for the angel number and for us to be able to take that pause. So I ran the chart for where we are currently, and I'm on the Pacific time, so I know it's a little different wherever you may be. This is what's transiting. The sun is currently activating the gate 6, and so we're going to dive into the gate 6, and I'm really going to go into many different facets and pieces around the gate 6, also talking about its paired gate, the sun and the earth, right? The sun is always moving, and so we know where the position of the earth must be. And also looking at the other electromagnetic piece to the 6. And so having your chart, you'll be able to look to see how are these transits affecting you. Now, if you heard me speak at conference, I mentioned the 3420. This is a big deal. This is actually transiting through January 18th of next year. So recognizing there's some energies here, this is coming in from the nodes. How is this impacting you? Now it'll be a fun experience to start noticing this energy. And I've started asking clients, and I'm always like giving my clients heads up during readings, during coaching sessions, during programs. This is where things are. Ooh, I know this is in your chart. How is this impacting you? I have a financial advisor who doesn't even know human design, and he'll let me bring pieces in. And I mentioned this channel, I started to tell him about it, and he was just like blown away because he knew exactly what I was talking about. He knew the busyness, he knew the loudness. He was like, I can't control my networking group. They are so loud, everyone's talking. I asked my daughter, how is school going? Are you starting to notice that kids are louder? And she was like, oh my gosh, the teacher is yelling because he can't be heard because everyone's talking, right? So we have manifesting generator, motorized throat energy for 4 months. So if you're not used to everything being so loud and the whole planet having something to say, right? Giving voice. I feel like it's such a beautiful energy to just understand where we are with the sun, because the sun is about expression. It's what you're here to share. And if you're not a motorized throat like myself and most people, suddenly it's here. Suddenly it's a place where we get to explore and feel it. But I caution you that if you're a projector, if you're a reflector, if you are a generator who doesn't have a defined throat, and even if you are the manifester who has the motorized throat, but you don't have this sacral energy, we all really want to make sure that we are honoring who we really are, following our design, and allowing the transit to come forth to impact us. And this is the gift of the transits. They're here to help us. They're here to support us. They're here to give you something to play with that you inconsistently have, or maybe a different flavor, because even if you have some of these different gates, it's just a new position. You get to explore what this means for you, what it means for the planet, humanity, and how we're all evolving together. So this is a really fun piece just to look at and know, right? If you've got some hanging gates that are going to make some connections, this is important. So this is the current transit that I ran for myself, and you'll see, wow, there's a lot of energy that I am feeling. And to be honest, I was on a call earlier, and I was totally using the manifesting generator energy. I had stuff to finish up for this presentation. I wanted to get a workout in. So I was allowing myself to use this 3420, and I even told my husband, I just used it like a boss. Like I was able to play with it and know, okay, I need it right now, but this isn't sustainable. This isn't something that I'm going to be able to do all day, every day for 4 months. Or I might end up as the burned out projector that I've been able to avoid my whole life. So just look at and recognize where you might have some electromagnetics, how these energies may be coming in. For me, this is all of the channels that I am getting through transiting energies. And this is what I was born with, right? I have 2 channels, and all of a sudden I have 2, 4, 6 new channels coming in, plus the 2 I already had. So just recognize for yourself, if you need to take it down a notch and you need to rest, even if you're a generator type, no matter your type, please give yourself what you need, right? We need to allow the earth to nourish us, to give us what we need to rest, to slow down, to really fuel ourselves so that we can tap into the power of the sun and be able to exude and radiate and amplify and share and express whatever it is that needs to come forth at this time.
Alana, we had a question on Facebook.
Okay.
Are you saying my throat is going to be defined till January 18th?
It will feel like it is. It won't, but it'll feel like it. So you're just going to feel this energy. And remember, if you're not used to this energy, but you just feel like you're talking and then everyone else is talking and you're getting louder, right? Like we become in that feedback loop. But it's also something that if you are an undefined throat or an unmotorized throat, the dance that we've been living and we want to explore is we're not here to just initiate conversation. So we should be really good at sitting back and being able to just watch and observe and not jump into the conversation and wait for people to still invite you, recognize you, or give you something to respond to. However, the 3420, it's really an amped up energy. You might find yourself diving in and speaking a lot, and then later your throat feeling raw. And that's the damn, have this awareness to know, ooh, I fell into the energy and I need to pull back. To just shutting myself down a little, a sense of not speaking as much, and especially, did anybody ask for the information? Just because the 3420 is here doesn't mean that you're still going to be recognized for what you have to share. And you can still ask, you can get permission. That's always a great gift that you can tap into. But yes, the influence of the energies are here through the nodes, letting go of this busyness, moving more into this patient piece. It's all part of individuality. And the gift too is just being able to see the people who really are speaking the most. It's time. Maybe they haven't been heard, and it's time that everybody has a voice and everybody's ready to be heard. And maybe there's pieces in your chart that get activated, that maybe some advocacy pieces start to come in, or other emotional energy things are going to be able to get to the throat potentially. It does for me. So just know that depending on where things are, if you're someone who doesn't normally have the ability to get things out, now you might be able to, and we can really start to clear up things on the collective and in the tribe and within ourselves individually to really heal and move forward. Now, this is something I had shared through the Human Design Store. It's an energetic healing transmission, and I work remotely in actually going on a deep energetic level, cellular level. I ran an entire hour-long session of focused intending to connecting to the source love light. So if there's any part of you that feels disconnected and you don't really feel like you have connection, or something has come in and you're not connected to God, or there's parts of yourself that are blocked off, I really went in and was guided to just go through to reconnect, not just to the sun, but also to the earth. So if that's something that you're interested in, it's here. I've got that here. and I just wanted to share it. So the big piece here is we're focusing because that's where the sun is currently transiting. You saw in the current transit that it's sitting in the gate 6, the line 3. And so we've still got a few more days. I think it goes through the 20th. So it would have started about the 14th. Today's the 17th. We've got through the 20th. We always get about 5 to 6 days in each gate. We know that the 6 is over here off of the solar plexus. This is a tribal energy. It's part of that defense circuit that we often hear about. And it's the 5th house, or the 5th gate, if you're looking at each of the gates as we're moving around the mandala, and then breaking it down into the house. It sits in Virgo. This is an energy where touch is a big thing. So just know if you have this consistently defined, you might need touch or need to touch things or touch people or like that. And if it's inconsistent, meaning it's not necessarily defined in your chart, but you're starting to feel this energy, just notice, right? Like this is the experiential part for me in the experiment, is what awareness do you have as things come through? If you're not normally a touchy person, but right now maybe you want a hug, this energy might be coming through because it's something that the sun is asking you to share. Maybe you just feel the urge to give someone a hug because you see that they need it. Now, we're looking here at the resiliency keys through Karen's quantum alignment system. I'm a level 3 practitioner, and we go through the 9 resiliency keys. For this particular energy of the gate 6, we look at the courage aspect, the decisiveness, the emotional wisdom, and the empowerment resiliency keys as they relate to this energy. I also like to look at the Chinese I Ching just to see, where we came from. And ultimately, the I Ching is the basis for these hexagrams and for these gates that we look at when we're using human design. And so when we're looking at the hexagram 6, we've got this upper trigram is actually heaven, and the lower trigram is water. So it's kind of like having heaven over the water, and they call this one sung. And so that's, I just kind of had it, so it's pronounced as it's said and spelled. And it's called conflict. And so really there's a big piece here that we have to let go of our defenses to find support. And so a lot of times, because this is an emotional energy, I call it emotional wisdom. There's a lot of emotional balance, and we'll dive more into the higher and lower expressions of this. But ultimately, we have to get into the emotion. And it's one of the things humanity just never wants to touch. And we have to face and have some confrontation and conflict. And ultimately, there will be disagreements. Discuss any disagreements rather than remain silent. And so this is what the Chinese I Ching kind of talks about, that there's this. And we need to have balance even within. And when we have conflict, it helps to drive us to evolve and to plan in a way that we can see that there is opposition, but it creates, right? This is an energy that's tied to this creation aspect of the 59-6. And so when we can allow the conflict in, we can actually lift ourselves to a higher level of thinking and accepting and seeing things in such a different way that I really see that we can begin to find that emotional balance and wisdom that comes forth. So looking at the higher expression, I always like to talk about it in terms of kind of courage. But there is an element of being courageous to be able to respond, because that's what the 6 is seeking, to respond and connect to that sacral. But to respond with that emotional awareness, because this is an awareness center. And there's a lot of diplomacy found here. And there can be a lot of calm, even in the emotional wave. And it's all about that timing and when you feel ready. Not just feel ready, but your feelings are ready, right? Because if you're in the bottom of your wave, you're not necessarily going to respond in a deliberate manner. You're probably going to be more reactive. until you've had time to process, move up, maybe accept, take a step back, see things in such a way that when you find that middle ground within the wave, you're able to respond with more calm. You're able to respond in such a way that you're not going to be reactive. And so there is this aspect of having the ability to let go of your defense, right? Like being on the defense because we can sense the conflicts coming, or there's confrontation, or there's emotions that are going to get triggered, that when we can let go and put down the guard, that we can actually create and we can allow for ourselves to sustain our evolution and our life and help each other. And I really see that humanity not knowing emotional energy, half of us having it defined, half of us having it undefined, there's an exploration piece. And that I'll talk a little bit about, because that's actually part of the pairing for the gate 6 is with the 36. But there is this exploration to figure out what are we emotional about? What is this awareness that's coming forth? So looking first at diving deeper, giving you more specifics, this lower expression, this shadow piece is really, there's a lot of conflict. And there's aspects where you can almost be repressed in the sense that if you don't like conflict, you're going to learn in this lower expression to never have conflict. You're going to be a people pleaser, right? You're going to feel that somebody's going to get upset and you're going to do everything you can to get to peace without the other side, right? Like it's going to be an equation that's out of balance. You're not having the conflict, but you're just immediately jumping to peace. But at some point, the dam breaks, right? That something happens where you've been self-sacrificing or giving in or making sure that everyone's happy, that you're compromising yourself and potentially repressing your own emotions. And when those emotions are repressed and stagnant, at some point, if the dam breaks, everything can come forth. And that's scary for people. There are often our emotional balance becomes so imbalanced that in that lower expression, you don't know what's going to come forth. And so there can be fear around the emotion, fear of not knowing what kind of emotions are actually going to come forth because you haven't faced them and you haven't let them come out, or maybe you've become a victim to those feelings. And for others, it can be on the other side, maybe they just are so reactive that they are unable to manage or control their emotions, and they just come out like a wave crashing on the sand. They can be very reactive. They can just have all this anger and energy that's just pent up, and it just spews forth, and it can be volatile, and they don't really take responsibility for it. So there's aspects of this lower expression where lots of imbalance, maybe even being emotionally withdrawn, not being clear. There can be addiction to this kind of energy of conflict and just almost looking for it and always wanting the confrontation. So just know that with any of these gates, there's so much variability, right? This might not be true for you or where the world is, but because the sun is encouraging us to express and let this energy flow, and we do have a motorized channel that is there, if you're witnessing people who have outbursts and they are more reactive and they're just not able to sit with it and allow the timing to come forth, then the conflict and the friction may come forth. And it might not be personal, but they might need that hug, right? There might be something going on a deeper level where they just haven't been able to express, and now that the energies are there, it's coming forth as a tidal wave. There's also intimacy aspects, and so maybe there's some fear of intimacy, because intimacy isn't just that sexual piece. It is the emotional piece as well. And sometimes it can feel very vulnerable and almost intimate to be able to share with people what you're feeling and how you're feeling, and to let tears flow forth, and whatever emotions and rage or sadness, whatever that may be. But the gift really is when we can move through the emotional energy, we can start to see that that's how we get to peace. That we almost need the conflict, right? We almost have to go to war at times to be able to see, well, what are we really fighting about or warring over? And what's the resolution? What is it that we're looking for? We want to be able to find peace. You could probably have some fears around reproduction, fear that you're not able to reproduce, or fear that you're not sexually vital. Some of those pieces could be tied and attached in this emotional piece. So there's lots of variations and lots of different aspects, and whatever support you need, talking it out, tapping with it, or any of this is going to be really helpful in this time as you're able to express, and the energy is there whether you had a motorized throat before or not. So when we start to look more at this higher expression, and I love that, in the Gene Keys, Richard Rudd has the gift aspect, and then even above that, the city piece. So he describes the gift as diplomacy and the city as peace. And I really see this. I do have this gate. My husband has this gate. I have the solar plexus defined. He has it undefined, and it's his only hanging gate. And so it's interesting because in old human terminology, human design terminology, you'll hear these terms of conflict and friction, and it usually focused on these lower expressions and these lower aspects, to the point where it could easily feel like, yeah, my husband should be an angry person, or he could be, but he was learning the conflict part, and mainly from like parents and others, that it was an explosive aspect. Now, when we move into really being more aligned and allowing yourself to feel these energies in a higher expression, this is where, with total love, you can share who you are. There's a right timing to being with this creative energy, because it is part of the solar plexus, that you get to communicate with love, because you're doing it diplomatically, you're doing it in a way that you're actually calming, you're bringing that to the table, because your resolution is peace. What you really want is peace. We want it for ourselves, we want it for each other, we want it for humanity. And it's a beautiful energy that we all get to play with right now, to recognize where are we holding ourselves back, not being able to express our emotions, and to share them with honesty, to make an impact, to impact in a way where we're being able to emotionally have this balance. There really is the yin and the yang aspect of those opposing forces, but we're finding balance. There's responsibility here too. And through having this clarity of emotion, and I feel this every day when I've allowed my emotions to come forth more and more, it's like there's a doorway and I couldn't see the doorway. But the moment, right, the wave goes through, it's like maybe the waters part and suddenly there's a doorway and I have the clarity that I need. And that's exactly what comes forth for all of us, is that we can be faced, and in that tensive position, we start to feel the conflict coming. And if we're in the lower expression, we want to run. If we're in the higher expression, we want to just face it and lash out and beat them to it. In the higher expression, we feel it come, we feel the wave come, and we already become more neutral in knowing who we are and how this is affecting, that we can kind of step back into that observation mode. We see it coming, but we're able to embrace it and lean into it and not react. We can be more deliberate. We can almost be that impartial mediator, and we can see that somebody is hurting, they're conflicted, and we can sit there and give them our heart and our ears and listen and help them to find a peaceful resolution. That's what we really want. And usually if somebody's upset, we just need to take that time to find out, what is it? What is wanting to come forth? And really didn't have the space to do it in the past, and now we can. We can be more honest. We can move through the emotions to arrive at peace, right? To be able to see that doorway that, oh, here's how we can make it a win-win for all. It doesn't have to be that compromise way of the past, that's what's going out. It doesn't have to be in any sort of relationship that one person's going to win and the other's going to lose. We're starting to really be more protective in wanting equality and equitability and these pieces that really do come from this gate 6, that there is a lot of fertile energy. So it's not just the birthing aspect of being human, but allowing that creative birthing of whatever ideas, concepts, projects that you might have, those can also come forth. And if somebody confronts you, right, you know that it's not really personal, they're feeling confronted. And now you can, with total love, give them the floor, let them speak, let them share what it is that they're hurting. And I do have to say that there's a lot of wounding here as it ties to racism. And I know that's been a big conversation in our community, and we've been having those conversations. The reason is because this is genetics. This is reproduction. So there was a level of sometimes people not seeing the genetics and that your gene pool fits, and we're mutating, and this energy is here to participate and help us to recognize we're birthing a new genetic aspect. And so it doesn't matter, our color of our skin and what pool or culture you came from, right? We're all blending to recognize we're one. We're here to be together, to support each other, to be emotionally wise, to be in balance, to give more of the hope aspects that actually are part of this emotional wave, and to let go of a lot of this friction that used to be part of intimacy, relationships, like just the way humanity used to do it. It wasn't based on love. That's what we're all bringing in. So I know there was a lot there that I just dove into. So here's my next little piece that I want to offer. I do remote energy sessions in a group format once a month. I have one coming up on Sunday. And so Pacific time from 4 to 5 p.m. It's an hour. It's completely remote. There's no Zoom call. There's no phone call. You just get to connect. I send you music. It's a donation-based kind of thing that if you want to participate, I'm focusing on emotional wisdom because I knew that the 6 and the 36 were here. They're emotional energies. We have a lot of things that might be coming up. So on an energetic level, if that is something that you know that you need support, then you can go to prosperityalignment.com remote-energy and choose whatever you want to donate. I'll send you a couple questions with music, and it's pretty simple. And then I usually follow up with all of my notes of what we worked on, what we cleared, if I restructured any chakras or maybe worked on certain aspects. I have a feeling I'll probably be working on the lungs because we tend to carry a lot of grief. And since we have viral transmission that's also affecting our lungs, I'm not surprised if we have some of those repressed emotions that are kind of being stored and stuck and need the energy to move forth. So the other piece, as the sun's moving, we can then deduct where the earth is sitting. And so the earth is always paired with the gate 6. It's another emotional energy. So right now, what that means is the earth is actually inviting you to connect to this energy in a way to support yourself. That you get the earth over here wanting you to be more grounded, to receive what you need so you have the energy to be able to exude and express what the sun is bringing forth with the gate 6. The 36 really, it's a gate where There can be an adventure aspect just because it's an emotional roller coaster, experiential, collective type of energy. It's all about exploration. And I know it says adventure, it should say exploration, but there's a part of wanting to have the emotional experience in a way where you get to have fun and it's different. It is not logic, right? This is the one and done. This is me going skydiving. And this is the piece where there's just something you want to do and you want to have that experience. The 36 wants you to do that. A big piece about the 36, there can be some nervousness that gets tied in to this energy, and it can kind of like jump off and pair with the 6 with us feeling some of those emotional energies. It's a different emotional spark, but it's one where, because it's experiential, you need to sit with the emotion and really have closure after having gone through it, to sit with it, to know what was the experience about. And when you can celebrate the high, the low, the whatever it is, you start to have a greater appreciation for the energy, for the experience. When we don't give ourselves enough time and we just want to jump straight from, let's say, that skydiving to the next greatest thing, and we're going to go do some other crazy adventurous thing, if we're just constantly going from one to the next, we become that thrill seeker. And that's where we can almost want a little bit of this chaos that can come forth. So if you've heard some of the energy sometimes is talked about, this chaos, this crisis, there's an aspect of just wanting so much experience that when you don't have time to process, you're just gonna go find it and potentially create it. So we want to make sure that we're grounding ourselves in having kind of the adventure, the exploration, going and having experiences that are actually allowing new creativity to come forth, but in a way that you're not going out in the world just looking to create chaos just for the fun, just for the sake of it, right? Just like we don't want with the 6 to feel like we're looking for conflict, and if all is peaceful, boom, we need conflict, we need to shake it up. And so just know that some of this emotional energy, this is a thing. This is what people might do, might not realize it. If you see it, when you have awareness, you can bring in the compassion piece to just know that having that compassion for humanity, we're all on an exploration. Because there's no logic here, we're just in the flow. We're in the flow with whatever shows up. So I highly encourage you during the next couple of days, just allow this fun to come through, right? To explore and feel this new emotional energy in a way that you get to have new experiences. That could be with new people, right? In the collective. It could be experiences in whatever capacity within your work, your business, with your family, in relationships. Maybe even the experience of having an emotional response, allowing it to come forth, being in a safe space where you feel okay to go on that journey and have that exploration. So the electromagnetic is the other piece. This is important because the 6 is always seeking the 59. It wants to create this channel. And we know that in traditional human design, this is the channel of reproduction, mating, and connecting. This is the birthing aspect of humanity, where we often can say that if somebody is not able to get pregnant, was this energy present in the charts of the couple? The 59 and the 6. And so knowing that this 59 is part of the sacral, this is a force, right? This is life force, sexual energy, and it is seeking that emotional energy of the 6. Sometimes when we're, let's say I'm the 6 and I'd be seeking the 59, right? Some of our conditioning is we're going to be attracting the opposite side. A lot of times we get stuck in beginning to think that we're the other side, we're the 59, instead of recognizing, oh no, I'm really the 6, I'm more the emotional piece. But the 59, this is penetration, and because it's a part of the defense circuitry, it really can penetrate others, and it's a very attractive energy, and it's fertile, right? Like it's fertility, it's all these aspects of the sacral life force energy, but it needs to be responding. It's not here to initiate. It needs to be responding to something to be able to have that creativity that it's seeking from the 6, but being able to be in that movement and that flow of finding and attracting the right partner, whether it is for more of the procreation side, or if it is also seeking to have that emotional response. So just know that because whatever we're headed towards or what the other gate has, we're often wanting to go forth and create that. This is sustainability, and this is this aspect of wanting to sustain humanity. It's why we want to procreate. We want to create in a way that life continues. Humanity goes forth. And so when we can look at, if you have one, if you have both, if you have the other, if you don't have any of it, this is just important to recognize. When you have just a little awareness, suddenly you see things differently, you feel it differently. And that's the part I just want you to tune into, is notice how these pieces start to come together in a way that you can feel it from others. And it does bring forth more of that compassion, or instead of the turbulence and things that it can bring about. And with the 36, the conflict here of the 6, and even the 59, that oftentimes it just gets kind of in that like forceful pushing energy. That's not how the sacral's meant to operate.
Alana,
Yes.
us in chat, what about when your partner and you have the 59 but not the 6? Does that?
Well, you're gonna have it now. The sun is here. And this is one of those things too that honestly you can use timing, you can do planning. If you wanted to be able to have a child and you know that you both have the 59 and you don't have the 6, then the sun being in this position, or we know 6 months from now the earth will be in this position, that maybe that's a great time that you don't necessarily want to plan, but you could. And it's funny because my husband and I always joked, because when we got pregnant with the twins, he and I both have the 6, and our daughter Taylor has the 59, and we were on vacation and she was over in the room asleep. So we always joked that, like, okay, Taylor, the 59-6, we both had 6s, like, how did we end up with twins? I don't know. But there are those aspects of when we're looking at pregnancy or being around other people, those energies can totally come forth. I hope that helps. So the other piece that I like to dive into is the financial impact, because that's my background. I love talking about more of the archetype of money and helping people with it. I really have moved away from all of the typical old CPA financial planner stuff, because it just doesn't speak to me. I know that's not where we're headed in the future, and I'm about helping people where you are now and where we're headed. So looking at the solar plexus and knowing this is a financial frequency of our feelings that come forth. There can be this fear of financial conflict, right? Because we're already afraid of conflict. So of course we're going to be afraid financially that there's going to be a conflict, that something's going to come up. And that could be on any level. Maybe it is within your tribe and your family, but it can be maybe a conflict within your relationship with your spouse, that if one wants to do X and the other wants to do Y, there's already a conflict, right? Now, I've already told you, we need to go through those emotions to get to the other side to reach peace, which means we're going to have the conversation. We have to talk about why we want this and why you want that. And how do we come together to have that win-win? Again, not the compromise. That we're really starting to recognize whatever emotions are coming up, we've just got to have the conversation. We cannot be the victim of our emotions or our emotional energy, the imbalance. So there could be things that you say or feel or think or have picked up from others in their emotional imbalance around their finances, and there could be that victim aspect. So I am a victim of my finances. All of this happens to me. And you might feel confronted by money. And I know that happens a lot. And oftentimes in our spiritual communities, people are very financially avoidant. They don't really want the money, right? There can be other pieces of it's dirty, it's evil, all those things where it can come in and you just don't want to receive it. So I recommend too, just recognizing that, again, the 6 being activated by the sun, we're here to be able to express out. So express what's coming up for you and recognize what are these confrontations that you're feeling and where the conflicts are coming in. If there's personal imbalances, maybe you feel like those affect the money in your life, right? If you're not happy in a relationship, you might not be open to receiving whatever else the universe wants to bring in the way of finance. And so having a deeper look and going into those pieces can be really helpful for you to at least have the awareness, feel the emotional piece, and then start to find your emotional balance with your finances. Doesn't mean you have to have an emotional authority. I do. But if you don't have an emotional authority, that's okay. These emotional energies that are transiting are just here to at least help you to have awareness, to see where there might be some imbalances and how your emotions can guide you to find peace. Peace with your money, peace with your finances, peace with whatever it is that you need at this point. There is the emotional balance that brings balance to your finances. And sometimes we get so emotional and we're so frustrated and we're worried and we just keep pushing down the emotion. But again, I highly recommend allowing it to come forth so that you can find what new clarity is here for you. Maybe even creativity sparks a whole new concept or a new idea or something that allows you in your business to go in a different direction. Whatever it is, but you're just open to this. Being able to share your resources with diplomacy, calm, and equitability, and allowing for you to actually invest or spend or give how you want. That you're not stuck in the people pleasing of, oh, well, this is what I should do, and this is what everyone tells me to do. You're ditching that. You're allowing yourself to fully be resourced and connected emotionally in such a way that you are having the financial impact that you need to have. So I gave this away, the Mount Shasta transmission, for those who participated in conference. This one I'm going to do a little differently. The sun really is that energy where we're taking action, we're moving forth. So if this is something that you want and you're willing to reach out to me, connect, you can email me, you can find me on my website or through Instagram. If you say that you want this, I will send you the code so that you can receive it. So I'm not going to give it to you because I know that we have to have some skin in the game. We have to take action, and that's really important. And I want you to be able to do that if it feels aligned for you. So 2 last pieces that I like to cover when I'm looking at this gate 6 is coming up with proclamations. So yes, they can be called affirmations. I love the power behind proclaiming. And so I call them proclamations. And so given everything that we've covered today, I share my emotions with diplomacy. I am emotionally wise, settling matters with calm and equitability. When I move through my emotions, I disperse conflict and arrive at peace. Creative resolutions come through me to provide a peaceful outcome. I transmute my sexual energy into creativity, impact, and prosperity. And to go another step further, to give you some reflection questions. These are things that you can sit with, you can take a screenshot, you can journal, you can use that motorized throat to go talk it out or put it out into the universe, whatever works for you. Is the suppression of my emotions creating conflict in my life? What exploration is needed for me to be more intimate? How does my emotional energy affect achieving financial freedom? Where do I fear money creates emotional conflict within me or for me? How does this fear affect my financial frequency? And so I love just putting these out there. Again, the exploration was tapping into the gate 36, so kind of bringing some of that piece in, the emotional, the balance, the higher expressions, but some of the fear aspects that even though it's not the spleen, they still carry over, and then they affect your finances. So every fall, I run the Courage to Thrive Sun Activation Program. And this fall, we have all of the splenic gates being activated, not just by this powerful aspect of the sun, but we also have Venus, Mercury, and Mars. And we're already there. We've been having some of these energies transit. So for me, it's not just telling you and talking about, like I just did for the gate 6. I use the same format and energies to help engage and teach you about where we are, but I also have live calls to support you as we're in the energy, because to me it's one thing to just learn about it, it's another to actually experience it for yourself, not me telling you what it is, but you get to find it out for yourself and have that experience. The program starts on the 26th and it goes through November 19th. The 26th is actually a Sunday, and I have a group energy session that's included, so that's why it's starting. But there's 4 live calls. It runs Mondays from 3 to 4:30, and we go through all of the courage gates, the fear gates of the spleen. We go through the empowering gates of the 1, 43, and the 14. And I also, every single gate has a healing technique because I want you to be supported. Not just with the proclamations and the reflection questions, but that you get a healing technique that can help support you. And I have 3 of those healing techniques that have live calls as well. So you'll be introduced to a new Reiki that has been downloaded from the original master with Kesley Mack, and then biofield tuning with Sandra Lee. And then I do another remote energy session when we're in that prosperity gate of the 14 on the 19th. All of the calls are recorded. It's all in a portal. If you can't be there live, I love receiving your questions and being able to still have you in the group live. So even if you watch the replay, you feel like you were there. And I've had participants and clients say that they love that because it just felt like they didn't miss anything. They were part of it. So we go through all of the expressions. I pre-record some of those pieces, so it's just short, different little videos so you can digest them as you need. We go through everything we talked about with the 6, so the pairings, the electromagnetics. There's handouts that have all of this kinds of information on it for you. There's the healing techniques, the financial impact. So we're looking at your money, your prosperity, personally, professionally, whatever that is, because that's a big part of what I'm here to help change on the planet is the prosperity consciousness. And so you can go to prosperityalignment.com. Right at the top, you'll see Courage to Thrive. You'll see the big sun. You can click on that. It'll take you right to the page where you can learn more about the program. It is $444. And I have 4 payments of $111. So either way works for you. I know that my will center requires me to hold value because that's what I stand for, and that's what my clients, I help them see that for themselves as well. So I love adding bonuses that if you join by a certain date or you do the full payment, you're going to get a 20-minute private coaching session. Any of you that join before the 26th, I think, before we start, you're going to get these bonuses. I do have a raffle, so I'll raffle 2 additional 20-minute coaching sessions based on whoever joins in the next week or so. The first 5 registrants will get a Courage blend oil. So this is one of the resiliency keys that we have through the quantum alignment system. You'll get the financially centered masterclass. I will need you to register by the 19th if you want to join a bonus live coaching call. That's actually on Monday. And then we have a group remote energy session on Sunday. So lots of really good stuff. I love teaching this program because if I can support you with whatever it is that you want to share and radiate and be putting out into the world, now is the time. So I know we're just at time. So I want to thank you so much and let you know that I honor and respect you and I love you. And I know, I don't know if there's any more questions because I didn't really get to that point, but are we good, Cindy?
There was just a question that I know that you go and look at under the Facebook post. So there was a question from Evelina. This financial impact is very interesting. Can you comment on the financial impact when her design sun is in the 21 line 1 and personality sun is 52.5?
So it's a level of dancing in knowing, okay, that is the will center. And so I kind of look at the different frequencies as it relates to the center and then each gate. And so knowing that is the energy that we talk about as being part of the money channel, really there's an aspect of being able to regulate yourself and self-regulate in the way that you're not here to control, you're not here to control others. And so I would say the financial impact is there's that fear of not being able to control money and or the fear of money controlling you, that those pieces can come forth. And really you're here to allow for the flow and to be in that flow, to allow for that prosperity aspect and the money piece to come forth as you're ready to receive it. So I hope that is helpful. I know that was just a quick thing that came forth. All right, well, thank you again, everybody. I love you, I thank you, and it would be an honor to support you, and I wish you a wonderful weekend.